now, and that's just so that people who couldn't make the meeting but do actually want to hear what Amber has to say can do so later. Hopefully we can get that posted up to our YouTube later on. A few more people coming in. So I'm Alan Campbell. I'm the president of Siska right now. The feature of the evening is Amber Champion. Amber is the smiling face you see on your screen there. She will introduce herself in terms of her paddling qualifications, because when we were kind of back and forthing about this, it turned out I wasn't up to date. You see, Amber is constantly getting better. She's becoming more and more skillful. Big surprise there. So she's more up to date and can tell you about that. And we're very pleased to have Amber, who is the co-owner of pardon me, Blue Dog Kayaking, as well as principal instructor and all around, I would say, all around water baby. What I want to say about Amber is I did take a course with Amber. I don't know if you remember that, Amber, but it was maybe a couple of years ago over at Mill Bay. And I'm telling you, she just loves to be in the water. She and Alana, I think it might have been, were just like fish in the water. And I heard her just a little while ago complaining about how cold the water is. Well, that could be because she spends a great deal of time in the water. I, on the other hand, am one of those paddlers who try not to stay very long in the water. But Amber is very, very comfortable with the water, which means she can put you at ease. And I have to say, Amber, you're a great instructor and kind of inspirational when it comes to what you can do in and around your kayak. So pleased to have you tonight. And I know you've got a presentation for us, going to tell us all about Blue Dog and hopefully some of the good things you're going to be offering to our members this year. So Amber Champion, over to you.
Thanks, Alan. I appreciate that introduction. I am a little bit shy on camera, so if I turn red or start matching the color of my sweater, that is normal. I'm okay. I'll make it through. Yeah, so as Alan said, I'm Amber. I'm one of the co-owners of Blue Dog. I'm also our main instructor, logistical planning, go-to contact for everything kayaking. So a little bit about me to start. I know a lot of the faces here, but I've been kayaking on the West Coast for, this will be my 8th season coming up. I started out here as a level 2 skills, and about 2 days after that course, I became a level 1 instructor. And now, as of today, I'm finished with Paddle Canada courses. That's it. I'm never taking another one. I'm done. So this September, I became a level 3 instructor trainer, which is kind of the highest you can go with Paddle Canada. For me, my motivation to get there is we don't have any females at this level to teach. So to be able to mentor other female coaches and to be able to offer all women's or female specific coaching and offer more opportunities for coaches. Yes, so I like being in the water. I like being under the water. I like being warm. And yeah, I love coaching. I did a bit of guiding and still do a little bit of guiding, but I prefer to give people like yourself the skills so that they can go out and do all of these cool trips and experience the stuff that I love on the coast without always needing us. So tonight I've done a slightly different presentation to the ones I've done in the past. I've geared this presentation a lot towards questions I get from whether it's Siska or Nanaimo paddlers. So I will be talking not only about the trips that we offer, about our instructor training and opportunities with teaching. So I've started with the more kind of dull and boring stuff if you're not an instructor to the more exciting stuff at the end. So this one is to start with the instructors and instructor to be's. So it's just going to give you a bit of an outline of our instructor training, what you can expect and what you can walk away with. So our level 1 instructor course is not just designed for people that want to teach, but it's also designed to refine your skills as a paddler. So a lot of people will go paddling for a season, then winter will hit, and then spring comes around, and they find that they're back to where they were when they started. So people that want to really ingrain those introductory and core skills often take these courses so that they can be prepared and just start refining those skills, understanding all the concepts of it, not so they can teach, although they might want to do that, but also so that they can internalize and understand every nitty gritty part of the skills and strokes. So we run our instructor courses out of Mill Bay. It's 4.5 days. 4 half days out of those are on the water. Day 1 is mainly led by the instructor trainers. So we go through the boring theory, housekeeping in the morning, and we start looking at refining your strokes in the afternoon. As the week goes on, you have opportunities to teach the other peers on the course. You might even get a classroom of fake students to teach, and get feedback about what activities worked, what didn't, what lessons you might want to move forward in the future. So it also talks a little bit about the theory part of it. So understanding tides, what you need to go out if you're going out for a day paddle, currents, navigation, and also be able to put that information into a handout or a booklet. Personally, I found this helpful for refining my knowledge or quick access knowledge of these things, not necessarily just to give to students. There's some lovely photos from our instructor courses, and I think there's a few people in this Zoom that are actually featured on this collage. Instructor level 2 course. This is a very hands-on course. We've changed the way that the program has run in our company 3 times now. When I took it, it was all out of Mill Bay, with a day out of the Gulf Islands, which personally I didn't find very useful because teaching in level 2 conditions in places like Souk or the Broken Group or Deer Group is very different than the Gulf Islands. So we find a lot of people that take the level 2s do want to be instructors, because it does take quite a bit of work to get there. Our program, we do the same first 2 days, the instructor team's focusing on refining the instructor candidate skills, with them delivering theory presentations and us giving feedback. And the last 2 days are done in a place like Souk or Port Renfrew, where the students will have a chance to teach what we call assessment lessons in a level 2 environment. So this is to, present maybe a lesson in a cave or a surf landing and seeing how it goes and getting real-time feedback on how that lesson went to help prepare them better for teaching on the coast. These tend to be pretty fun, and they can also be a little bit intimidating to begin with, but it makes the transition into being a level 2 instructor a lot smoother because they already have a bit of experience. So these are some of our level 2 photos. You can see the water is a bit rougher. We're doing some more advanced skills. We're even doing Cleopatra's Needle. If you're ever wondering what happens when your back catch fills, that's me there in the yellow boat. And some of these photos are taken in Mill Bay, so sometimes it can get to be level 2 conditions there as well. Now I'm moving into mentorships, and this isn't necessarily because I think you're all going to become level 3 instructors, but it's to give you an overlook of how we also do mentorships if you are instructors and need teaching opportunities. So according to Paddle Canada, the mentorships run as you assist on your first one. So you're only required to teach 15 to 20%, which usually looks like 1 theory lesson and 1 skills lesson. And then the lead instructor will teach the rest. The second mentorship is done as you're the main person in charge. So you're teaching 75 to 80%. and the person assessing is there to help and give you feedback on how your lessons are going. Now, if you are interested in becoming a higher level instructor, this is the only way to make it past a level 2 instructor or to go into the instructor trainer field. You have to do mentorships and you have to work with 2 different coaches each time. So as many of you probably sign up for a lot of clinics, you'll find each coach teaches a bit different. We have a lot of tools in our toolboxes and some little key tidbits that stick with us from one coach to another. Same idea with these mentorships. So it can only broaden our understanding of coaching and what it means to work, with different people in different environments. Oops. Some more smiley photos. Now this one I put in there because I think last year I got over 30 emails about getting teaching experience. So I know within Siska, within Nanaimo Paddlers, there are a lot of instructors that are there to help the club to get people trained and certified. But I know a lot of those instructors aren't 100% confident presenting the course by themselves. So we'll take an instructor course, we'll then go into winter paddle for ourselves and not get the opportunity to teach. So this is to give you a little bit of notice that we do allow anyone outside of our organization to come and either assist, co-teach, shadow, or lead a level 1 or 2 to gain that confidence and experience. Same idea if you already have a level 1 skills, a level 2 skills, and you're looking at taking the next step. We do allow helpers or other kayakers to come and kind of try and gain that experience through seeing how we deliver our courses so that they can start building up their instructor toolbox. I know a few people here have done that and are doing that this summer. So if that's something that interests you, please email me. If you don't want to write my email address down here, it's almost everywhere you look. Now onto the fun stuff. So I've broken down our instructional expeditions into a few different categories. Our West Coast classics. So these are some of our most popular trips, the trips that are our staples that we'll always run. This year we've broken a few of them down into different categories. So the past 2 years or so, we found that a lot of people already have their level 2 skills or their level 1 skills. They're not really interested in going for their next level, but they're interested in coming to these areas. So this year we're offering News Chatlet's 5 to 7 day trip, either an instructional expedition only. So no certification will be given on those trips. It'll be more about exploring and learning skills on the way and refreshing what we already know, but not a delivery of a Paddle Canada course. And then we have a level 2 and a level 3 skills. So this will be skills-based focused. The focus won't be as much on touring and exploring, but focused on the skill building and making sure that we're ticking the boxes before we go and see all those other areas. We find that this helps us set the expectation for paddlers coming on the trip. And also it helps people going on a trip, because if you're going for your level 2 and nobody else is, it's really hard to feel that same peer motivation to go for the certification. So this way we kind of avoid that by making sure you're on the right program. We have our Cayuga and Buns Beach trip. Most of these trips are 7 to 8 days. I have one 10-day trip right now there, and they're mostly instructional. Part of that is due to the nature and the location of the trip. Most people want to go there to explore, to see all the rock formations, to get some wild West Coast experience. So we've made them instructional with a special request for skills. So if somebody's going for their level 3 skills, it's easy enough for us to manage that. And yeah, as long as we know ahead of time. Our new trip that was an addition last year is our Cape Scott trip. Now this trip is always a 10 to 13 day trip. And part of that is creating opportunities for bad weather. Last year they did it in 10 days. This year it might take 13, who knows? But for this trip, we are leaving from Port Hardy and we're paddling into Cole Harbour. So there's a vehicle shuttle. Yeah, a really exciting trip. This is only instructional, and that's because a lot of the times we're waking up at 4 a.m., packing up camp, getting on the water, getting into camp by 10 or 11, and not going back out because it gets too rough. So there's just not the opportunity to do skills courses there, but still the opportunity to learn boat handling, charting, navigation, packing your tent early when you can't see. And then the Broken Islands, we used to do these trips, I would say 5 or 6 times a season. But as many of you know, the Broken group is chaotic in the summer. There is no room for camps, and it's very busy. So we're doing shoulder season Broken group trips, and they are mostly skill based. So we do a level 2-3 in May, and we do another one in September. The one in May is an all women's level 2 and level 3. It's the first all women's level 3 that's been done in history, is the ones that we do here. It tends to be a group of 6 to 8 women that come together with 3 female instructors. So it's creating a nice fostering environment and community that's supportive and helping each other get to where they want to be. And then our deer group trips. So these are 4 to 6 days. Similar to the Broken group, the deer group's getting very, very busy mid-season. So we're only going there till mid-June, and then we don't go back until the end of August. These we offer both instructional and level 2 and 3s. We put the skills courses closest to the colder, rougher weather, so around April, and the instructional a little bit later. Part of that is we want to ensure that we're getting the right conditions. And also it's nice to have a little bit of a challenge, and we're not seeing very many people out there then. So it makes it a more wilderness remote setting, which is good for learning and challenging yourselves. Next, I'll hop over to the East Coast Classics. So we do Southern Gulf Islands around Portland, Rum Island, Gooch, sometimes over to Cabbage. We do level 2s here. We also do guided trips there. So if you have people that aren't quite ready to go on the West Coast, maybe they don't want their level 2 skills, they want a bit more of a relaxed touring opportunity. We are doing at least 4 guided trips there this year. And they're 3 nights, 4 days, all inclusive. You get myself or somebody else to cook you gourmet meals, but you still get to see a lot of the area. We also are doing the Discovery Island Lodge, current clinics, and level 2 flex. I know 2 people in this Zoom just booked today for that. So the current clinics this year, we've broken up into kind of a more introductory to current, which is this March. So the current's not flowing as fast or ebbing as fast. So it gives you an ability to really learn and gain the fundamentals of working a sea kayak in current. And then in October, we have the 8.9 to 10 knot current. So it's a bit more of an advanced current clinic. So whether to challenge yourselves, whether you just want to get a beating, or whether you're ready to take that next step in boat handling, we've separated it that way so that we can manage expectations and that everyone's getting the right learning outcome and they're not being too challenged, and they're making sure that we're challenging them enough. The level 2 flex course, this was extremely popular for us. We've started doing them 4 years ago now. And every year I say we're not doing it, and then we do it because they're so popular and they book up immediately. The level 2 flex course at Discovery Island Lodge, it's staying at the lodge for 3 nights, food cooked by me, warm fire, sauna, hot showers. And then during the day, you are on the water doing your turning strokes, your rescues, day paddles to the Octopus Islands. You get a bit of current work as well, which we legally say is off Paddle Canada course. But it gives you the opportunity to challenge yourself so that you can see how you can prepare for the next steps. Or if you get caught in an area where there's current that there shouldn't be, you have an idea of what to do and how to manage it. A little bit about our locations, or as I call them, the bases. So our Port Sydney base is my nemesis because it's so close but so far. We do level 1 skills courses there. Right now we are doing them Tuesdays and Wednesdays weekly. That might change. And then Saturdays and Sundays semi-monthly. Sydney has kind of always been our main guided location just because of the access to the Gulf Islands. So we try and keep some skills stuff in there, but also have to keep it available for guided trips. We do day tours 3 days a week. We do rentals as long as we get 24 hours notice. We can set you up with a rental for the day. So whether you need a boat or you have a friend visiting that needs a boat, we can set you up there. We do half-day wildlife tours, sunset tours, and we've also started doing special events. So Sydney Day, also known as the day before Canada Day. Canada Day, Raven Float Festival. So paddling under fireworks, going out to listen to live music on boats, things like that it's nice to have a bit of extra water access. We also provide safety for some of the festivals. So yeah, if you want to get involved with any of those, just let us know. The Mill Bay base. Mill Bay base has always been our main teaching location. If you've been there, you probably know why. It's in the summer mostly like a mill pond, and it's great for learning. It's great for doing private lessons, skill building, rentals of any kind. So paddleboard, kayak, full moon paddles. But we mainly focus on our level 1 skills courses there, which we run 2 weekly, sometimes 3, and also private lessons. So our common private lessons in the summer, or kind of from March to October, are rolling, turning strokes, technique building, and then back to the basics for rescues. And we do these mostly private, and we do 1 to 4 people max. Usually if you're booking a private lesson, then it's yours unless you invite friends. And the all women's, this is my baby. I have been working on this stuff since I got into paddling. When I first started teaching, my only 2 goals were 1, to finish Paddle Canada. So to be the only female to have ever done it in history, and to be able to offer the same opportunities for women, but having a female coach. So I have been working on developing all women's programming for the past 8 years. And finally, we can say that the whole Paddle Canada Sea Kayak curriculum can now be offered as all women's courses. So these are a few photos of the all women's courses from last year. We had the historical all women's level 4 course, first ever in history, and probably one of the best level 4 courses I've ever instructed. And we also have the all women's level 2-3 from last year and some photos there. Yeah, so just to give you a little bit of an outline, if it's something that you're interested in, we have the all women's level 4. This takes place in September because 1, we need conditions, and 2, we do run it as a dual location. So we start on Quadra Island, where we do some current work, so edging, bracing, rolling, rescuing, all fun and craziness. And then we head over to Clayquot Sound for the expedition portion of it. A lot of people think of a level 4 as the course for the elite. In my opinion, that's not what it is at all. It's taking all of that knowledge and experience that you've built up over the past however many years and challenging yourself. So if you're planning on circumnavigating Vancouver Island, paddling around Quadra, going around Cape Scott, places like these, I think that a level 4 course is a great course for you to take. It challenges your trip planning, your weather interpretation, your navigation. It also challenges your boat handling and group management in those environments. Or as I call it, when defecation hits the oscillation, or in rude English terms, when shit hits the fan, what do we do? So a lot of the level 4 is incident management and learning how to control these things that sometimes are a little bit out of our control. Yeah, so my goal for a lot of these isn't just to, tell the boys to go play with themselves, but it's also to offer the entire curriculum, foster a challenging and supportive, safe environment for women to continue to challenge themselves with like-minded females. I found through my development that being the only female helped me because I've always been like that growing up. And it pushed me to push my limits a lot further. But I also found that I had to find different ways of doing the skills because I didn't have the same muscles in the same places as men. And I found I had other body parts that I had to work over to get onto certain skills. And it is different. So that's part of the goals. And then the level 2 and 3, similar as I said before, it's just to be able to offer female instruction and create a welcoming environment where you're going to be supported and you're going to be helped to get where you want to go, not necessarily for the certification, but to get you the confidence that you want or need to be out on the water. That's it for my presentation. There was a lot of information, but I'd like to open a question and hopefully answers session. So it can be about what I spoke about, what I showed you, about me, anything that you'd like. I just welcome you to put your hand up or go ahead and ask.
So Amber, it's Edgar Hewlett here. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Edgar.
Yeah, I was just wondering, we paddle in such a beautiful area. I'm just wondering how many international paddlers you get coming here and how you advertise for those overseas.
That's a great question. I would say I'm our advertisement, not on purpose. This year we have 3 private international trips coming. So we have a group of 10 from Denmark coming here in October to go around Quadra. We have a group of 8 New Zealanders coming over in September to do a 10-day South Brooks trip. We get a lot of people from the UK. And we don't purposely advertise in those places or say, come take a trip with us. Just through the nature of my experience guiding and instructing in different countries, I've developed relationships with people that would like to come over here and do that, as well as through our NDK boats that we bring in ridiculous amounts each year. We do attract a European population to that as well. And that's partly because we are an expedition center. So somebody could come from paddling in Wales and they want to come to Canada doing a trip. And they know that they can come to us and get the same NDK boat that they paddle over there. And they're not stuck to just a touring boat or a ruddered boat. They can have a bit more choice in what they want. I don't know that we're going to market in other countries. It is logistically challenging. I don't want more logistics on our trips. And our company has always had a bit more of a local mentality. We're here to support paddlers' development and learning. So being able to be open to BC paddlers, we get quite a few from Ontario and the East Coast, has benefited us. I would say we're somewhere between 85 and 93% return customers. So it doesn't leave too much room for the newcomers. But yeah, good question.
So do all those people have, or those countries have similar courses to Paddle Canada, or do they have different setups?
They have different standards and courses. So BCU and a lot of Europe, but not, I would say most people that come internationally don't carry another certification. And they usually paddle with clubs, or they've done their own development that's not relied on certification. Canada is probably one of, if not the most focused on certification, specifically BC. New Zealanders hate instruction, as I learned at my first symposium. They didn't like being told what to do. And they have a mentality of, it'll be all right, we'll figure it out. So the past 3 years, I've sat on a committee in New Zealand for helping to develop some sort of standardization similar to Paddle Canada to, one, help guide paddlers into development so they know where they can go once they've got certain skills, but also for their club paddles over there to create some sort of standardization to keep them out of nasty situations.
Okay, thank you.
Amber, can you stop your screen sharing so we can see you a bit bigger?
Yes.
That's great, thanks.
Did it work?
Yep, perfect.
Okay. There we go.
Amber?
Yes, hi, Joe.
Hey. Hi, Amber. Just wanted to clarify, by the way, great presentation. You mentioned that at Blue Dog, instructors can assist, co-teach, shadow, or lead. What are the differences between these?
Great question. So shadowing, I'll start bottom to top. So shadowing would be coming, sitting like a fly on a wall, partaking, giving a bit of feedback, but not actually taking over any teaching. So they'd still work with students in a feedback manner, but it would be more seeing how we deliver a level 1 course. Assisting would be acting like a co-instructor. So if it was with me, I would act as lead and I'd ask you as the assistant what you're comfortable teaching. And it would be a minimum of 1 on water stroke skill, rescue, and theory. And then leading would be taking over that course or co-teaching with another instructor as equals.
So which one is that, co-teaching or leading? Sorry.
Co-teaching and leading are the same.
Oh, okay.
My philosophy of co-teaching is that you are doing equal parts. So a lot of team teaching, you're both taking the same amount of responsibility. So similar to lead, just with 2 of you.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Hi, Amber. My name's Diane, and I don't have a great deal of kayaking experience behind me. I am thrilled with the idea of taking a tour. I do have my level 1, PC level 1, not super ambitious at this point in my life to go on to level 2. Broken Islands group seems like it would be a reasonable choice for a beginner based on what I'm reading on your website. Are there other recommendations that you might also suggest I consider?
I think, yeah, I think a lot of it depends on the time of year. I would not recommend the Broken group to anyone. Like, yeah, as a tour, I wouldn't recommend it outside of the months of like May and mid-September. Like April, May, the conditions are very variable. That's why we run level 3 courses there. We get swell, we get wind, we get chop. Last year we got windbound for a day and a half. But in the summer, it's amazing because you can pretty much guarantee what times the winds will come up each day and know where you want to be for shelter at those times. Yeah, so I would say Broken group. Deer group in the summer is pretty calm as well. You do get quite a bit of fog through Barkley Sound. Gulf Islands are great, except the boat traffic. And there is current, but most of the current is marked on the chart. So there are ways that you can experience a lot of the Southern Gulf Islands without having to deal with those adverse conditions. You will have to deal with the boat traffic. Where else? Quadra Island, if you're doing a tour with an instructor or guide, is a beautiful place. It's sheltered, it's calm, and there is current, but the guide or instructor will be able to kind of guide you through that area when it's at slack, so there's no real big concern.
That's great. Thank you so much for those suggestions. I'll look into them.
No problem.
Hi, Amber. I have a question about kind of a little bit on what Diane was just talking about your areas. And apologies if you've talked about this already. I was a little bit late to join here. Could you just speak to sort of some of the areas that you're starting to focus on, or if there's new areas? It seems like you know, as Clayoquot and the Broken group are getting busier and busier, more of the business and tours are sort of going up, you know, farther north. You know, the New Chatlets area seems like you guys are running a lot of trips out of there. You know, Kayaking and the Bunsbys. Is that sort of a deliberate thing? And I guess part 2 of that question is, are there any other areas you're looking at or can talk about, or, you know, that you might look at running trips out of?
Yeah, so we love going to Clayoquot. We would not have stopped that trip, except the pandemic kind of shifted how tourism looks at that area. I would box Clayoquot in the same as New Chatlets, Kayaking, because you can explore further up. Our idea as a company is that we're trying to choose places that are a little bit less accessible. As a company, it's easy for us to run water taxis and cost less in the bulk with paddlers than it would be if you wanted to go there alone. So we're trying to choose areas that aren't as accessible, because in theory that means less people. And we are trying to shift further up the island. And we also have a few trips that we're in the process of developing. So our new one was Cape Scott, which has been on the books for 3 years. And we're just waiting for things to open up. We're trying to work on somewhere else that I can't officially say. But a lot of the challenge to it is permits, as well as we won't go to an area where the local First Nations aren't happy for us to be there. So we're also trying to work with those nations to develop friendships and some sort of relationship that will benefit them and us for being there, which takes time. So Yeah, so there's a few trips that we might see probably 2 to 3 years down the road. Our newest trip of last year was we went to Great Slave Lake on the eastern arm for 9 days, which is float plane in, float plane out, and it's in the Northwest Territories. So we've decided that we're going to partner more with other companies if we're going more remote. Part of that idea is that, in my opinion, tourism won't survive unless we partner together. So Northwest Territories will be a new location for us. I foresee there being 2 to 3 trips in different locations in that territory. Another one we're looking at is doing a completion of the Cape Scott. So we'd go from Cole Harbour down to Cougar Creek. But we're adding more logistics to that, which I hate. But yeah, so our goal is to focus on the highly dense and populated areas in the shoulder seasons, and then in the busy season, go more remote, go to more places that are harder for people to get to, and more places that there's going to be less commercial operations in.
Great, thank you.
So
Hi,
Amber,
Amber. Oh.
go ahead.
Oh, hi, Amber. It's Allison Keegan and my friend Yvette, who's a brand new Siska member, and she's going to be taking the level 1 at the end of February 25th, I think, is, out of Mill Bay. Now, are you going to be instructing that?
I will be sitting on a beach in New Zealand.
Oh, no. The other question, or actually there's a couple other questions. You mentioned that the Port Sydney location was running level 1 courses currently. Okay.
Sorry, that was my bad. That is in season. So our Port Sydney location doesn't open up until usually May long weekend.
Okay, thanks. Do you know who's going to be teaching the February 25th?
I believe it's going to be one of our new instructors who started teaching with us last year. Her name's Carmen.
Okay.
She is awesome. She actually started on a level 2 skills course 2 seasons ago and went from here to like here and is going up. So we're mentoring her at this stage. She's 23. She's a genius. And yeah, she just has drive to get better and teach more. So we're helping foster that and provide her with opportunity. So I have a feeling it'll be Carmen, but don't quote me.
Okay. One final quick question. Will you be back from New Zealand in time to teach the Advanced Paddlers Workshop in mid-April?
Of course.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Those are the advanced workshops they're my babies. Unless I'm sick, I'm there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
So Amber, just getting back to New Zealand. That's not in New Zealand, you got me mixed up. Broken Island, sorry.
Yeah.
The Parks Canada had a booking system in place which didn't work, and it got crowded because people who'd paid and hadn't paid all showed up, and then they restricted it out of season, I think, the shoulder seasons. Do you know if it's got sorted out, or is it just a complete mess still?
So the Broken Islands is officially closed for camping from, I think, October 1st or 30th, sometime in October, until April 30th. And that, as far as I know, and as far as conversations, that'll be a change that'll be sticking around. The booking system doesn't allow you to book until, I think it's February 18th, roughly that time. They'll put out a notice and you'll wake up at 5 a.m. and there'll already be 600 people in front of you in line. So the reservation system is challenging. They get an influx of people booking immediately and then changing all of their campsites. Personally, my experience is people just don't book and they'll still go. which is unfortunate. So I'm hoping they're going to look at a different way of doing it. And there are certain routes that they won't let you book. So I usually go to Gibraltar for the first 2 nights and then over to Clark. Parks Canada deems that as an unsafe route and they won't allow you to book it. So there are little kinks that they're working through in their system, but yeah, I think it needs an overhaul.
Yeah, I've talked to people who have told me that people who have booked and then try to cancel, it's a really arduous process and you don't get very much of your money back. So they kind of say people just don't bother cancelling. So there's empty campsites all the time. So it's, I mean, people who just show up, the chances are they're going to get a spot anyway. So like you say, the system's broken.
And as an individual, it's less of a concern. As a commercial operator, I have to follow my booking and route plan or I risk losing our commercial license. But what we've done in the past, if we've started paddling somewhere and we're going to be windbound and can't make it to our location, we have the head of customer service and operations. We have him on speed dial and we just let him know that we can't get to where we're going and he'll send us a list of campsites and places.
Cool.
Okay.
Kelsey's trying to get him to grab his glasses.
Any other questions for Amber? I see a few people actually just joined, so we're just in the Q&A section here. Joanne?
Amber, another question. Just wondering when you and Blue Dog started the all women's PC skills courses.
My first ever level 2 skills course that I taught was the first ever all women's course in Paddle Canada. It was also my first ever course teaching. And we did them, we usually did 1 or 2 every season. And then 3 years in a row, the exact same trip, the exact same location. We had some difficult trips, just with people not getting along and and people being signed up for trips that they maybe shouldn't have been on. And part of that was because we listed them as all women's adventures level 2, but people weren't reading the skills portion of it. They were reading the headline. So a year and a half ago, I decided to change all of it to an all women's level 2 or 3, black and white. You're signing up for an all women's skills course. And since I've done that, we've had 0 problems. Everyone that's signing up they know what they're getting themselves into. They know they're going to be focusing on skills, but they're going to be with like-minded women. So that's been a game changer for us. So I will never again list anything as an all women's adventure. It'll be an all women's level 2 or 3 or 4.
Well, bravo. I think that's a wonderful route, and I think they'll probably be popular.
I'm surprised none of the men have asked for when are all the all men's courses happening.
Great.
Well, I don't mind asking another question if there's time. So Amber, I noticed that the courses I'm looking at tend to provide, I think, your breakfast and your dinner, and you're expected to bring your own lunch. I'm wondering what sort of things people bring, like a bunch of sandwiches, or how does what usually transpires for that meal?
That's a good question. Firstly, the reason why we don't provide lunch is because of how I'm going to answer this question. I've seen everything from carrot sticks and celery and hummus and avocados to bagel and peanut butter to dehydrated who knows what. We get a lot of chorizos, we get a lot of vegan jerky, People, from what I've experienced the last 7 years, is people don't like heavy lunches when they're paddling.
No.
They like quite a few different snacky things: cheese, crackers, pepperoni, and maybe a piece of fruit. So, moral of lunches is that every single person has some sort of different ideal lunch that they carry with them when they're paddling, which is really hard to manage as a company. So it was my decision to scrap lunches. Everybody can bring their own. And people are happier, because people are happier when they eat what they like. Our go-to used to be wraps, but I will never eat a wrap again on trip. Can't do it. I've had too many. But you get a lot of wraps. One of our co-instructors, Jeremy, he brings a bag of salad, a bag of wraps, cheese, a massive like chorizo this big, a mayonnaise, and a bag of chips. And that's his lunch for 8 days, or on Cape Scott, 12 days.
Oh my God, how does the salad last that long?
Well, you buy like littler bags, and you just don't let any oxygen in them. You keep them out of the sun. Keep them in the bottom of your boat. Costco's also started doing a lot of dehydrated fruits, like mangoes, blueberries, things like that. Those are nice to put in the lunches because they last forever. So yeah, there's a ton of things. And, you know, if it's coming closer to a trip and you're doing it with us, just ask and we can give you an idea. But if you think about what you generally eat for lunch, what maybe you take on a day paddle, then that'll help you figure out what you might like to bring on trips. And then from there, it's just a matter of managing what stays good and what doesn't.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well, I think we've kind of run dry on the questions and answers. Amber, you did very well. If you were wondering if there was like questions and maybe answers, but I'm pretty sure you answered everything there.
Well, thank you. They were pretty easy.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us. Best of luck in New Zealand. That sounds fantastic. And we look forward to seeing you and the other Blue Dog folks out on the water pretty soon now, I guess.
I know, it's exciting. And if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out, you know how to contact me. And if you don't, somebody else here does. So don't hesitate.
Sounds good. There's some chat here you may want to look at before you sign off, but which is all very congratulatory. I think people are pretty impressed with what they hear. So thanks everybody for signing on, and thanks again to Amber for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a great
Bye
evening.
for
Thank you.
Oh, I missed it. So I should watch the video, I take it.
That's great. There's some nice things there, Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
excellent.
Alan. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Bye.